Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today we're jumping into some malicious compliance. Before we start, if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's completely free and you can always change your mind later. But if you stick around, you get to witness the awesomeness that is me. Alright, our first story today comes to us from Obsidian-Winter. Do you want it done right, or do you just want deniability if someone tries to sue? Let's jump right in. Many years ago, I got a temp job at a local soap shop. You know, the fancy kind where it's £5 for a bar of handmade soap. The manager didn't like me. I did things thoroughly and methodically, not quickly, and good enough for now. I also have a very good memory, and I remember things people say and do, especially if those things don't add up. The manager would exaggerate things that made her look good, and conveniently forget things which didn't go her way. I thought she had made a genuine mistake, so I corrected her once and she never forgave me. It was time for the monthly deep clean, and I was tasked with doing the stairs. The shop had a metal spiral staircase which led up to the storeroom, and we had to go up and down it with massive jugs of warm water so customers could try the products. Given the nature of the products, there was also soap flakes everywhere, and they got stuck to this high traffic area. There was about 1/4 centimeter of soap caked into each step. The manager explained in front of most of the staff how important this job was and that it had to be done right. People could get hurt, you see, and you don't want that, do you, OP? She spent more time than was necessary making it very clear that if someone got hurt, then I would be to blame. It was also the most isolating and tedious job. It was obvious that this was revenge for my humiliating the manager. Fine, I went into my little world and started scraping. She wanted all the soap gone. I would remove every scrap of soap. Half an hour later, I had done a couple of steps and I was told that I was being too slow. She suggested that not all of the soap needed to be removed, only enough to make it less slippery. I replied that no, I was doing it properly. The soap on the second layer is just as slippery as the soap on the top layer, so if this was a safety concern, then obviously I needed to remove all the soap. I reminded her that she didn't want anyone to get hurt. The manager continued to criticize me for another half an hour, until she had no choice but to swap me with someone else. She had publicly made a big deal of how important the job was, so now she couldn't backtrack and leave it. A few days later, she spilled a full basin of water down the stairs. The 4 steps I had cleaned were safe to walk on. All the steps she had assigned to someone else, another 6 or so, were slippery as all heck, and she slid down the stairs on her back. She was off work for several weeks, and when she came back, she tried to blame me for not doing the job properly. I reminded her that she slipped on the stairs which were cleaned by someone else, and that I was pulled off the task for being too thorough. Fortunately, it was a temp job, and I moved on after a couple of months. She still works there, and I've noticed that none of the other staff last more than a year or two. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Captain Get Your Gear Off. You may want to put in an anonymous tip to your local work safety board. At least then it starts a paper trail for others if some crap happens. OP responded to this comment and said, "This was years ago, and the shop has moved venue now. Had I thought of it closer to the time, then I absolutely would do that." Well, OP, you mentioned that the manager still works there, and regardless of what location they're in, I'm betting you if they're still heading up the place, that it's still in the same condition regardless of where it is. So making that call might still be worthwhile. OP, I'm glad that was only a temp job for you and you were able to move on after a couple of months. I'm also glad that your boss learned that karma can be slippery, and apparently it foams up quite nicely. Our next story today comes to us from mommymacbeth. You can't reserve seats on public transport. Let's jump right in. We, my aunt and uncle, cousin and dad, were on a long sightseeing ferry ride. It was a 2-hour ride with one stop in the middle. We were the first to get on the ferry, so all of us blocked the window seats in a straight line. It's public transport and there's no concept of reservation, it's first come first serve. We were sitting in the air-conditioned cabin and had the option of going out onto the main deck. Just as we stopped in the middle, my dad went out on the main deck to take some pictures and enjoy the fresh air. Another man gets on the ferry at this stop and takes my dad's window seat, though there were a few other window seats left. My aunt and I told him a number of times quite politely that someone is sitting there, but he only said, "I speak French," and proceeded to not hear us. My dad came back and told him he was sitting there, and this man called the security and complained about my dad. The security told my dad, "Sir, this is public transport. Seats cannot be reserved." My dad said, "All right," and sat down next to him. So the scene right now is window, man, my dad, empty seat, aisle. About 10 minutes later, the man was about to step out on the deck. He left his bag on the seat and got up to leave. My dad asked him to kindly remove his bag. He refused. So my dad refused to get up and moved to let him out. My dad said, "You can't reserve seats, you showed me the rule, kindly follow it yourself." He became very flustered and started clapping his hands and calling for security. Security was also on the deck for the time being, but a barista was there. The man called the barista to help, who didn't understand French either, so he told them in Arabic that my dad was refusing to move to let him out of the seat. The barista was flabbergasted and asked my dad why. I know Arabic, so I intervened and clarified the situation. That is, the man was keeping his bag and reserving his seat, which he told my dad is not allowed. By this time, the man had sorta climbed over my dad to go and call the security, and my dad hasn't budged. Keep in mind that my dad isn't a small man and is quite big with broad shoulders, and the sight of a tiny French man climbing around him was really funny. The security came in and the guy is still feeding them the part of the whole story in Arabic. When they came to ask my dad, he said, "You told me moments ago that reserving seats aren't allowed." He was keeping his bag and going out to the deck, thus reserving his seat because no one would sit down in a seat with a bag in it. The security told him he wasn't allowed to do that and removed his bag. Now, my dad got up and told him that he can sit beside the window. My dad just wanted to prove a point and came and sat beside me. The man was fuming and muttering, "Camera, police," and a number of colorful French abuses, which I know because I have a French friend. He's glaring at us as I'm writing this, and guess what? He isn't sitting in the window seat anymore. OP added an edit at the bottom of this one. It says, "Edit, for everyone saying we should not have blocked a bunch of window seats. Firstly, the ferry was mostly empty, and a lot of window seats were empty because we went during non-peak hours. Secondly, it was a vacation, all of us paid for the seats and wanted to have the best experience. It wasn't traveling from point A to point B, it was a sightseeing tour. And we wanted the best views individually, not sit as a group and have one person enjoy it. And no one was screaming to talk to others. We might take the best seats, but we are still courteous." OP added a second edit after this one. It says, "Edit 2, my dad didn't call security the first time or the second. In both instances, the man called security. The first time, my dad requested him once, and he said he doesn't speak English and got security involved." Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Not So Chi Couple. It says, "Your dad is nicer than me. That bag 100% would have been kicked down the aisle and the seat stolen had it been me. What did that guy think would happen after making a big stink about not saving seats?" Yep, I do kind of agree with this comment. However, I don't think I would have kicked the bag down the aisle. I would have given it either to the security guard or to the barista and said, "Hey, this was abandoned on this seat. You might want to take care of it in case they come back for it." Our next story today comes to us from ocipgrd. Terrible policy turns into a double refund. Let's jump right in. I recently purchased a rather lovely reclining sofa from a large furniture warehouse type company. We'll call them Sleepy Country. The sofa was on sale, marked down from about $5,000 to around $3,100. I had been searching for a few days online until I found this one, and I decided to purchase it without seeing it in person. I don't really like salespeople or people in general, but I digress. The sofa was delivered, set up, and everything was great. This should be the end of the story, except 2 days later, I received a promotional email from Sleepy Country saying they had a once-a-year sale happening for the next 5 days. I checked the same sofa on their site, and sure enough, it was an additional $500 off. Sleepy Country is known for decent customer service, so I tried texting their helpline. The agent there, while initially kind, became irate when I brought up the price match issue. "Hello, is this regarding a Sleepy Country purchase?" "Yes, it is." You have 5 days from the day of delivery to receive a full refund. I'm actually hoping to price match per your guarantee. I purchased this from you just 2 days ago, and it's gone down in price at the same store. Our once-a-year sale doesn't apply to prior purchases. Here are the terms. Q. Malicious compliance. I'm within 5 days of receiving my item, so can I return it for a full refund? If I can't get the price match, I'm just going to request a return and then just purchase the same item again at a lower price. Radio silence. Next I call. I clearly was talking with the same person because they sounded like they had been made well aware of the issue. Well, you're going to have to pay to have it returned to the store if you want to proceed with the return for a refund. That's fine. It will still be cheaper than $500. Let's go ahead and get that scheduled, please. Clearly annoyed, agent transfers me directly to the store to deal with the return. The cool store manager answers, "Hi there, thank you for calling Sleepy Country. How may I help you?" I fill him in on the entire situation. Wow, it doesn't make sense to do that. Since it's so close to the date you purchased it, let's go ahead and process the price match. Great, thank you. I appreciate your great customer service. CSM has trouble processing the refund because they rarely receive refunds on web orders. They put the refund directly on my card instead. Still not the end of the story. A week later, I saw another refund on my card for the same amount for over $500. I thought it would drop off, but it stayed on for some time. Having somewhat of a conscience, I called the CSM to tell him what had happened. "So I talked with you the other week. I received a second refund for the same amount." "So you didn't receive a refund?" "No, I received 2 refunds." "Hold on just a second." Pulls up my record. "Yeah, I don't think there's anything differently I would have done here, so if it's okay with you, I think we can just leave it as it is." "Alright, that's fine with me. Thank you." Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Have Reddit. Great username, by the way. Manager's thought process: this is not worth my time to unravel, and I'm following store policy, so I don't give a flying F. Honestly, OP, if you could see the margins that these stores have on that kind of product, your $3,600 couch didn't cost them even a small fraction of that money. Besides, you can walk away from this one with your conscience completely clear because you did let them know and they decided not to do anything about it. That's a win for you in my books. Our next story today comes to us from LongSufferingSquid. Some can be taught, others have to screw up first. Let's jump right in. A customer called up to place an order on October 10th, 2022. "Good afternoon, Widgets International. This is Squid. How can I help you?" "Hi, this is Chuckles, and I'd like to place an order for widgets for everything and a bag of widgets, location number 12345. After the order is placed, "Alright, and what is the PO number?" "The PO is 101022. "Are you sure, sir? Everything in a bag of widgets corporate usually requires a 7-digit PO number, and this looks like today's date." "You're new, aren't you? Don't worry about it, I'll be fine." I am most definitely not new, and it will not be fine, but okay, sure. "Very well, sir, the order has been placed. The order number is ABCEZAS123. You should receive in about 2 weeks. I place an internal note on the order describing the conversation. 2 weeks later, I was lucky enough to learn about the fallout of the above conversation when I take the following call. "Good afternoon, Widgets International. This is Squid. How can I help you?" "Hi, this is Chuckles from Everything in a Bag of Widgets store number 12345, and I want to know why I haven't received order ABCEZAS123 yet." "Let me look that up, sir." Checks notes, recognizes the order. "It looks like it's been delayed. Probably because of the girl I placed the order with. She was kinda clueless." Yes, I'm sorry about that, sir. She's new and not terribly bright. Let me see if I can find the exact reason the order was delayed." I dig deeper into the notes. Here we are. It looks like the order has been delayed because we don't have a PO number. "I gave the girl a PO number." "Sorry, sir. I mean, we don't have a legitimate PO number. Everything in a Bag of Widgets corporate rejected it because it wasn't 7 digits. And, because it was just the date you placed the order." "Sorry, sir. The girl you spoke to should have caught that. We'll need a new PO number." "Really? Oh, sorry. Let me generate a new PO number for you." "Okay, the PO number is 2460137. "Thank you, sir. I've updated the order. You should have it in about a week." "So long? I placed the order 2 weeks ago." "Sorry, sir. Some people won't listen until you repeat yourself multiple times. I'll make sure the girl knows what she did wrong, and I'll rush this order as much as possible. Thanks, you've been a great help. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Rhino Rise. It says, "You shouldn't have pretended to be someone else talking down one of your colleagues. It was far too subtle for them to realize. You should have been brutal and honest." It says here, sir, that when we were given the PO, we tried to confirm it was valid as it wasn't in the usual format required by Everything and a Bag of Widgets Corporate, and it would likely be delayed if it was incorrect. But the guy who did the ordering was adamant that the date would suffice. Maybe he was new and needs some more training. If you're able to provide a valid PO, I'd be happy to get the order processing for you. A lot of companies have that customer is always right attitude. That kind of service is actually responsible for a lot of incredibly rude, entitled people that they get on a daily basis, because they think that the company can't say no and they're gonna get exactly what they want. Finding a way to take the person's words and throw them right back at them is just oh so satisfying. And when I worked in call centers, that's something I love to do myself. Check out all 4 OPs linked in the description down below. I thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.